So the next thing we need to do here is actually create a tuple that can be passed in. There's a couple of ways in which we could do that. In this particular case, we could actually do it all the way down here. Now, you can't, unfortunately, just put in RG, G, B, and A. It won't accept that. If we go ahead and run it, he says it won't accept it. It didn't in my testing. Perhaps it has. No.
I mean, I, I, I'm interested to see why not. It feels like it should work.
If we pump it in as a list, though, my experience tells me it does work. And you know something else I can do at the moment to make this a whole lot easier for me to work with, and I didn't do it before because reasons. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to comment out most of these values here. Oh, what did I do there? I didn't mean to remove all. Oh, there we go. It thought it was a comment in the first place. So I'm
I
going
mean, you can remove them and then bring them back from the website. That's kind of what the program does.
That is true. I'm just going to move the string up here, so it's only producing a couple of them. Let's go ahead and have a look at the material colors. Yes, there we go. So we've got the colors coming through. And the reason, if we have it like this, I don't believe that it works because I don't think it actually makes a tuple out of it. We see there, it just leaves them as white. So we do need to pass it in, and I'm gonna. We could create the list first and then bring it in, but that's just extra lines of code.
Oh, I see why.
Yep.
Those are 4 different values,
Yes.
not a single value with 4 entries in it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So making it a list first and then making it a tuple afterwards actually puts it in the right format for Blender to read. So in fact, we're in a position here where we've got our first couple of colors at the top here, and we're able to bring them in. But let's actually check and see what the values we're getting. Because when I first did this, I actually used a different approximation of values, and some of them were way out of whack. And that's because I didn't realize that the colors you get are in sRGB, and the colors that you end up using that Blender needs are linear RGB. So there's a conversion that needs to happen. Now, if we have a look here, this is apparently, and it's good because we've named it like this, we can do tests, 14070E. If we open this up and have a look at the hex value of that color, they don't match. And if we notice here, there's a gamma correction value. Now, optically, we can do a very quick approximation, and this does work, but it still doesn't give you the right hex value. So if you wanted to be sort of rough and ready with it, you could go R equals R to the power of 2.2. And that will actually get you a lot closer to the value, but is an approximation. What we actually need, and give us a few moments here to go and grab the formula from Wikipedia. So apologies, this is bright white. And if we go down here, there's lots of maths and stuff, but this is what we actually need to do. We need to transform those values from sRGB to CIE XYZ, which is a linear representation of the RGB. And you'll notice here that we've got a condition. If the value, the R, the G, the B value is less than or equal to this, then we need to perform this top operation. We need to divide it by 12.92. If it's above this, then we need to do something else. So we've got an if statement here, and this is where I think actually creating a function to do that is going to be much cleaner. I just caught the chat then. Yes.
Yep.
A day when Wikipedia and Stack Overflow, Stack Exchange is down. It's a day where code is not written. So I'm not bringing magic numbers in from somewhere random. I'm using the Wikipedia article. So I could here go if R equals, if G equals, if B equals, and do that thing there. that would be incredibly wasteful. This is definitely something where we can do sRGB to RGB. You can name it how you like. That's the function that we're going to do, and we're going to pass in a value into it. Okay, now we do need to define this. If I remember correctly, the way that Python is going to read the script, we're going to have to define it nice and high. Otherwise, it's not going to have access to it. Now, you can do an if name equals main and then run a main function. That's what I would typically do, but I'm not going to confuse the situation with that at the moment. So we're going to use the def keyword. There we go. Jenny, you were talking about keywords earlier. Def is for a definition. In this case, we're going to create a function. It's going to be srg and then RGB, and we need a colon at the end. Now, we're also going to pass in a value here. Now, this particular value will end up being its positional. So if we were passing more than one in, that its name here and its name here do not have to be the same. In fact, the value here, yeah, I have chosen the right things. This value coming through is going to be passed into here, and we're going to get something out of it at the end. But what do we need to do? We need to say if the value equals, in fact, that won't work. Ignore me. We need to repeat this with R, G, and B. But we're going to do the complex operation elsewhere. I was jumping ahead of myself there. So we're going to change the values of RGB. We're going to convert them using this function that we're about to write at the top here. So if the value coming in is less than or equal to 0.04045, then do the following. Else, which is anything else, we will do something else. So let's type in value divided by 12.92. That is that part of it. The next part is value. I'm actually going to bring this slightly on the screen. Oh, no, wrong window. Slightly on the screen here, so you can see what I'm following along with. So the first thing we need to do is add on 0.055. So value plus 0.055. And then back here, we need to divide it by 1.055.
Now, as I say, I'm more familiar with GDScript than Python. Would that be plus or plus equal?
Where?
Value plus 0.055.
No, it's just, we're taking the value that's coming in and we're just adding that number to it.
Okay.
Divided by 1.055. And then we need to raise this to a power. So power. Now, fortunately, this is a built-in function. We don't need to import the math library to do that. But we're raising it to the power of 2.4. And then we can close that off. And then finally, we need to return... I'm missing something here, and I think I've been dumb. Yes, I've been dumb. Apologies. We're not actually setting a value to anything. We're just doing a calculation and leaving it behind, which is fun. Why not?
I do it all the time.
Yeah, but we're going to have to return that value. And that means this function here becomes that value, which then we assign to R. Now, all being well, let's just check that I've written that correctly, that we've got a function here that returns a value.
So, Vertex says there's probably an sRGB to RGB somewhere in Blender already. There probably is. It's just finding it.
Yes, by all means. I may be recreating the wheel, as it were. I have actually looked through Blender. I can't see a conversion, not one that we can use anyway, right, within Python, which is why we're writing our own. There's no reason why you can't write your own library to do this sort of thing. There are actually Python libraries you can import that will do this for you. But running Python libraries or Python modules that aren't already baked into Blender is a whole new ball of wax. Is that a saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
New ball game,
Yeah, it's a whole
different
new
ball of
ballgame.
wax.
But yeah, there are modules that we could bring in, but you can't just. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as going pip install and then typing in Pygame. It
So
doesn't.
I've got a quick question related to defining functions, like you did at the top.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure why people who primarily use Python resist the urge to define everything as leopard.
Is this a joke that I'm not getting?
Def Leopard. The
Now
dad
if we
joke,
go-
it hurts.
Now, if we go ahead and have a look at this 14070E, we're
I'm
pretending
still here.
it matches. We have gamma corrected it correctly. Right, where's the mute button for Yan? Okay, cool. So we've now got it actually changing it to the right value. Color space